For more, let's bring in Elise Stefanik, House Republican Conference Chair. Elise, good to see you. So, we heard when Title 42 was going to be lifted, there would be 10 to 15,000 people that come across our southern border a day. We see what 15,000 people look like right here, coming in the caravan. But that's the amount that comes across the border almost every single day, every day. Is there anything that Congress can do to get the Biden administration to change policy and secure our border?
Well, first of all, we need to do everything we can, and House Republicans have been doing everything we can to make sure that this president does not lift Title 42. That's one of the last remaining tools in our toolkit. And we also need to return as a nation to President Trump's very effective border policy. That's what House Republicans are focused on, and that's not what Democrats are focused on. They have done everything but speak about the border crisis. They don't want to talk about this issue. You have a president of the United States who hasn't even been to our southern border. The vast majority of the House Republicans have gone to the southern border. They've seen this as a crisis firsthand. Well,
the joke of it is that Kamala Harris says we need to look at the root causes of what's bringing people from the northern triangle of Central America into the United States. But if you look at the numbers, the most number of people that are coming into the country are actually from Mexico. But then you have people from Haiti, from Asia, from India, from Russia. They're coming from all over the world because the border's open.
Yes, the root cause is Joe Biden's open border policies. We know that the border security policies and building of the wall worked under President Trump. It was the most secure southern border in our nation's history. And now we're seeing the most open, porous border in our nation's history. And it doesn't just impact border communities, Sean. It impacts districts like mine in northern New York. We're seeing an increase in deaths related to fentanyl, which is flowing across our southern border. I represent Border Patrol officers on the northern border who have been transferred over and over and over again, which creates stress on their families and, frankly, leaves us with security openings on our northern border. And you're exactly right to point out these are illegal immigrants from over 100 different countries, individuals on the terror watch list, which had Congress not demanded that information, the American people would not have known that. So securing our border is a top priority for House Republicans, and it's one of the reasons why we're going to work back to win the House.
You know, I've heard a number of parents talk about every state being a border state, right? And what they'll talk about is in their kids' classrooms, there's a flood of new kids coming in because their parents brought them across the border. And the schools are inundated with, new resources for language, right? But also a class size of 18 kids is now up to 30 kids because they have to fit all these new kids into the school system. And the American child's education is being impacted because of a massive flood of new migrant children in the school. It doesn't seem like America has the capability, especially at these levels, to admit all these people into the country.
And who's paying for that? The hardworking American taxpayer. An example in the state of New York, there were the illegal flights that were done under the dark of night, and had it not been for a FOIA request of the Department of Homeland Security issued by a New Yorker, we would not have known. I have legislation to demand transparency and data for any migrants that are sent anywhere, by bus, by train, by plane, to any community across the United States. The American people and law enforcement agencies deserve to have that data. It shouldn't be happening in the first place. But even though this administration is not abiding by the rule of law, we need that data.
Before I let you go, tomorrow is going to start the show trial for Democrats about January 6th. Most hearings that the Congress has they start at 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock during the day. This one is going to be at night because they want primetime airing, and most of the liberal networks are going to cover it. But I think they're missing the mark on this. I want to know your view, because when Americans can't buy gas in their car, they can't afford groceries at the grocery store. You're a mom with a baby. They can't get formula to feed their babies. Problems that affect their everyday lives that they want the Congress to actually work on. They're going to have a show trial on January 6th?
It is shameless. They hired the former president of ABC News as a producer. So this is about trying to change the narrative. And think about this, Sean. House Democrats have not held any hearing, let alone a primetime hearing, on any of these crises that you pointed out, whether it's the skyrocketing gas prices, which are unaffordable for my rural constituents, whether it's Biden inflation, which is crushing every family's budget, or whether it's the baby formula shortage, which I feel firsthand. I went to purchase baby formula to get us through a couple of days over the long Memorial Day weekend, where I had lots of events in the district. They are rationing it at stores. This is America. This should never happen. And yet Democrats are changing the narrative to focus on this political witch hunt where there are no Republican appointed members appointed by the minority leader, Kevin McCarthy. It's only Pelosi puppets.
You know, I've had nine kids, and feeding your baby is a really important thing. You hold it dear to your heart. And if you can't feed your baby, the stress that that causes a mother and their family, and to think that, again, Democrats aren't focused on saying, you know what, we shut down a plant from the FDA that provides 40% of the baby formula into the country, and we don't have a plan to get it back and run again to get formula on the shelves so moms can buy it so they're not stressed out, is unbelievable to me. It shows that this government is completely incompetent.
It's incompetent, and the FDA knew this was going to be an issue. This administration knew this was going to be an issue. My office wrote a letter in February warning of this potential shortage, and we didn't get a response from the Biden administration until May, when I started blasting this administration for their failure of leadership. And I'll tell you, as a young mom of my son Sam, who's 9 months, so we were at the tail end of formula fed before transitioning to regular whole milk, it is stressful. And I know it's stressful for rural families in particular who have to travel an hour to get to the grocery store. If they don't have it, they have to travel another hour. So add that to the high gas prices. It is crushing families.
You know what I think? Moms, whether Republican or Democrat, look to a congresswoman like you who has a child who's using formula, and they're grateful that you're standing up and actually giving a voice for them in the Congress to say, you know what, this has to stop. We need to fix the baby formula crisis because, again, we can't deal with this as mothers. So thanks for standing up for moms, and thanks for joining me, Elise. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. Great to be with you.